Hi YouTube, welcome to Beauty in the Empty Nest. Today I'm starting what I think is going to be an eventual new category of videos, and it's called Is It Travel Worthy? Basically the premise will be that I'll be reviewing some different semi-complete makeup packages. In other words, there are going to be ones that contain eyeshadows and blushes and maybe a bronzer in it. So it's one kind of a packet that the idea is that you travel with. I'll also be reviewing it to see, how the product is, how everything performs, and of course, importantly, how does it work for mature skin. So I'm starting it off with the Lorac Pro To Go palette, I guess you would still call it. This palette has 6 eyeshadows. You can see we have 3. The top row is all shimmery type ones. The bottom one are more the neutral matte colors. It also has a little bit of a brush, which I never usually use those. It also has one of those films here, which I found sometimes is really useful if you're trying to do like a really dark corner and you're really worried about getting that, so you can use this to keep the color from going down on the edge here. I go through phases of using that or not, but it's there and it's in the palette. And then the bottom compartment has your bronzers and 2 different blushes, a coral and a pink toned one. And again, another little brush, but I just never use those little type brushes there. So it opens from either end, right? There's also a little bit of a phrase here from Carol Shaw, and it says, "The makeup I use to keep my celebrity clients looking glamorous on the go." Okay, but you can also open it so that it comes flat like this. Okay, which can be nice when you have it out there and on the table, and you can fold them back as well too. Just like this. So if you are happy to be traveling or you're at home, there's nothing that says you can't use this at home. Matter of fact, I use it a lot at home. Ooh, but that's jumping to my review a little bit. But anyway, it's nice to have it so you can just lie flat too, but it is kind of cool, and I love the way it just does kind of fold up like this, and it's got nice little magnets and really a nice outside packaging, except of course it is that kind of black kind of tone that picks up everything. Kind of like the NARS a little bit, but not to the extreme, but it still is always picking up. I mean, this is as cleaned off as I can get looking at it. So nice flat, depending if you are trying to travel. And again, when you're traveling, and I travel at different times of the year, I travel pretty extensively for my work right now, and I don't always like to check a bag, which means that space is gotta be a priority. And yet when I travel, I like to bring things with me that I like to use. So I want it to be good products I travel with, not just the thing in the smallest container. So again, that's why I kind of started this initial search of which palettes really travel well and cover all the bases. I don't want to bring a huge palette like this for one eyeshadow or one blush. I do have another in the series I will also be reviewing shortly too, but let's stick with this one. So again, really nice and compact. It really feels protected too, which is also really important. You don't want something too fragile when you're traveling. But again, I keep going back to, you don't have to travel to be able to use this, right? So okay, let's start out. So I'm going to start out with the bronzer and the blushes. So again, the bronzer, get a little swatch here, and I'm going to do some swatches by the side or as a picture in the picture. I'll let you know, because these never work as well here. So again, real matte kind of bronzer. I'm actually wearing it today. It is, this and the blushes are highly pigmented. So if you have a heavy hand, you have to be careful. And sometimes, like, I actually put more on today than I had planned on putting on. So then you have to catch up with it by, doing that blending out. But highly pigmented, you just have to be aware of that. Blends very nicely. This does not turn orange on me. It's just kind of a nice bronzer. Is it my favorite bronzer? No, but it is a nice bronzer, and it's one that I would feel comfortable using when I was traveling if I didn't want to bring another one with me. Now the blushes. Coral and the pink. I'm wearing the coral today. These aren't my favorite. Again, highly pigmented, which is always a little bit of a trouble with me, because sometimes I can get to be kind of a heavier hand with it. So I have to be really careful that I just lightly touch this and very easily apply that very lightly, that I can always layer if I need to. But these are just, it's either a very, very pink, so here's the pink. Again, it probably isn't showing up all that well. or very much the coral. See, that one really didn't. Again, I'll have the swatches by the side, but they're nothing too special of a color. To me, it almost seems like it's too much of the extreme, which is probably what they're also going for. Some people really like corals, some people really like pinks. I kind of like them either a nudish pink, mauve-y kind of pink, or a pinkish coral. So I kind of tend to like the blended kind of mixture color ones. So these are more just the pure colors. How are they as far as applying? They apply very nice. Again, highly pigmented. They apply and they blend very nicely because, again, I put way too much on and you would not believe what it first looked like. And I was able to blend it out for the most part out to be an acceptable level. It's still, I think, a little heavily applied for my taste. But the idea is it goes on nicely. It's not blotchy. It lasts. I haven't timed it, but I've never felt like I looked at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and were like, oh gosh, did I even put blush on? So nice products. Whether the colors work for you, that's something you kind of have to figure out there, but very nice products. So now what about the top part? The shadows. Okay, so here we go. Top row are the shimmeries. The pearl is that white kind of a shimmery. The Kai is really kind of a really pretty brownish kind of bronzy color. And the mink is definitely that brown shimmer color. So again, I'm going to show you some samples and swatches by the side there. The bottom are the mattes. We have the shell, the cafe, and the black. So my eyes today, I have done, this is my version of a smoky eye. I don't usually get much smokier than this, but this is my version of a smoky eye, and I used these exclusively. So what I did was I used the shimmery one here just under the top part of my brow, and that was, and right in the corner, that was the only place I used that shimmery white. However, it's good for that area. I kind of wish maybe they didn't give you so much of that. I've never used that for a highlighter. That might be something kind of interesting there too. And then I started with mixing the black and the mink together, so alternating back and forth, and that's what I did in my outside corner here, and I blended. Then I went back and I did the same thing, mixing these two, because again, I'm not a big shimmery eyeshadow person because I had the deep set eyes. I feel like I have to be very careful of that, but these colors are really pretty, and I found that some shimmery shadows I can blend out so that they're not super shimmery, but just light shimmer, a glisten. I can work with a glisten, and I found that these two really, again, did work that way. So I alternated back and forth there and kind of just blended that in, and then did a final topping of just the cafe kind of going all around. And then finally under the eyes, I think I did a little bit of an eyeliner, one of the Urban Decay grayish tone eyeliner, but then I used exclusively this Kai under my corners right here. This eyeshadow, I've had this makeup on now for 6.5 hours, I think. So you can see, and I did have primer. I use MAC Paint Pot and Paint Jelly as my eye primer. But I mean, it still looks pretty good. I mean, there's not big creases. How does this go on? Really nicely. Not maybe as buttery as some eyeshadows, like I think of like one of my most butteriest ones I like are the Makeup Geek ones. Those just go on and just work with so easily. These go on very nicely. There is some fallout from it, as you can kind of see the debris here, but it's nothing too terrible. They go on nicely and they blend really nicely. So that's always big for me. It has to blend, it can't blend patchy. So these go on in nice little swatches, and then you can easily, I think, blend it out quite well with almost any type of a brush. So I think this is a really nice color assortment of that neutralish brown. I mean, there's not any of the plums or anything like that, but you can still do a real nice look with this kind of eyeshadow here. And if you are a shimmery eyeshadow person, you could even do more looks. For myself, I have to kind of keep mixing them together. But this really nice shadows. I've been very, very, very happy with this. And as I kind of led into before, I very frequently, I don't keep this with my travel stuff anymore. I used to have a little travel bag. I kept all my little extras in. I keep this with my normal stuff because I reach for it quite a bit. Not so much for the bottom part with the bronzer or the blush, but for the top part, for those eyeshadows. It's just very nice colors, especially if you don't want to think too much. They're all kind of right there. We'll dibble dabble, brush, and you're good. And they're really, I think, very pretty colors. And for me, it's nice to have some shimmeries that I can work with and feel confident then about. So real nice. You can travel with it. You can play with it like this all day if you want to. So I've been very, very, very happy with this. Traveled with it, have had no problems with anything of it, you know, cracking obviously or anything. So my scale, as far as it being travel friendly, big thumbs up. Okay. As far as my fondness for this, very much. I'm not going to give it full 5 because the bottom half is just not something I fully reach for. I can live with it and I have no trouble. So if I was traveling and I didn't feel like bringing an extra bronzer or blush, this would be fine. The eyeshadows are my favorite part. So I'm not going to give it a full 5. I'm going to give it, say, a 4. And if I was rating them separately, the eyeshadows would be up in a 4.5. I'm just going to give it an overall fall. Very fond of it. It's maybe not my favorite eyeshadow pull out, but every time I pull it out, I'm very happy working with it. So as far as for mature skin, it works very well. The shadow, like I said, doesn't have the fallout, which is excellent because I hate the fallout that then hits my lines here. You don't need anything extra in those areas. It blends very nicely. I have a little bit of a drier eyelid. It's not real dry, but it's not oily. But it goes on very nice. It doesn't get caught any place. And because it blends out so well, it's really nice. So for mature skin, I'm going to actually give it, and also the blushes and everything, they blend nicely. They don't catch or get dragged or anything or patchy. So for mature skin, I'm going to give it a 5 because I have no problem with any of these products. As far as run out to buy, this is not something I think that I would say get out there, go right now. Call ahead, tell them to save it for you unless you really like to play with it. Especially if you have some of the other Lorac palettes, you might have these shadows already or something very similar to them. However, if you are looking for a travel palette and you do like more of the peach and the coral, just those purish kind of colors, I definitely would say run out and get it. Or the next time that you're in Ulta or you're in Sephora, check it out and see what you think. But as far as the run out, you got to get there. I'm just going to say a 3.5, maybe even just a 3, because it's not something to rush out there. It's not selling out. And as far as I know, it's not going anywhere. Now watch I say that and it's discontinued. But it's really a nice, solid product, but not something I think that's going to be flying off the shelves. Not something that you can't live without. But as far as for a travel companion product, I give it big thumbs up. So again, this is the first in the series of Is It Travel Worthy? And my smoky eye look. And after this, I have a Laura Mercier one that I'm also going to review that has similar mixtures of eyeshadows and also has it has a bronzer and also has a blush and also came with a little lip gloss, which, you know, it doesn't have the little brushes. But again, those brushes to me, those would not be ones that I would really be using to apply anything with. So that will be the next in the series that I come up with for this one. But for right now, as far as the Lorac Pro to go, I give it a big thumbs up. So I would really, really, really appreciate hearing your feedback on it too. Any other travel-ish type palettes that you'd like me to look at or you think I should review or check out, please let me know in the comments. And while you're there, also go ahead and give me a thumbs up to keep giving me that encouragement to keep going along, because I'm really having a lot of fun. And I'm really thrilled too that I'm not just talking to myself out there. I've really, really appreciated all the really great comments and the feedback, and I'm excited about the community that we're building. So go ahead and also please subscribe, because that way you'll know when I am uploading my videos. I'm not on a consistent cycle yet because I'm just trying to get videos out there, so I have a nice repertoire of videos on my channel for you. At some point I probably will get into one of those type of every couple days video uploads. But in the meantime now, when I have one, I want to share it with you. So thumbs up, please subscribe, and most importantly, please have fabulous days and get a little smile in there, maybe even a little giggle, but just enjoy everything that's out there. Until next time, goodbye YouTube.